Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today's story is about a woman who gets lost in the desert and uses the stars to find her way. This story is full of adventure and also has some great English vocabulary and phrases that you can use in everyday conversations. If you want to improve your English, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's jump right into the story. The adventure begins. It was a bright, sunny morning when Sarah decided to go on a solo adventure to the desert. She had always been fascinated by the vast, open space of the desert, and this trip was something she had dreamed of for years. Sarah loved the idea of being in a place where there was nothing but sand and sky. She was looking forward to the peaceful silence, far away from the noise and chaos of the city. After hours of driving, Sarah reached the heart of the desert. The landscape was breathtaking, with endless sand dunes stretching as far as the eye could see. She parked her Jeep, grabbed her backpack, and set off on foot to explore. The heat was intense, but Sarah didn't mind. She was used to it. The dry air filled her lungs, and she felt alive. As the hours passed, Sarah wandered further and further into the desert. She stopped to take pictures of the sand dunes and to enjoy the quiet. But soon, she realized something unsettling. She couldn't remember the way back to her Jeep. The vastness of the desert had confused her, and now she was lost. She looked around, but everything looked the same. The desert stretched out in every direction, with no landmarks to guide her. Panic began to set in. She tried to retrace her steps, but every direction seemed to lead her deeper into the unknown. The sun was beginning to set, and she knew she didn't have much time before darkness fell. A moment of fear. As the sky darkened, Sarah felt the weight of fear in her chest. She had heard stories of people getting lost in the desert and never being found. The thought of being alone in the vast desert with no one to help her was terrifying. She couldn't help but feel the loneliness creeping in, and for a moment, she considered giving up. But Sarah was strong. She wasn't the type of person to panic easily. She took a deep breath and reminded herself that she had always loved challenges. This was just another challenge, and she was going to figure it out. She knew that the desert, though unforgiving, also had its own wisdom. It wasn't just empty sand. It was full of history and secrets, and she needed to tap into that. As she sat down on a small dune to collect her thoughts, Sarah remembered something she had read about navigation in the desert. People had been using the stars for centuries to find their way. She had learned a bit about this in her studies, but now she was about to put that knowledge to the test. Using the stars. Sarah looked up at the sky, where the first stars were starting to appear. She had always been interested in astronomy, and her father had taught her how to use the stars to find direction when she was younger. She remembered the basics. The North Star, Polaris, was the key to finding her way north. She just had to locate it, and from there she could figure out the rest. The problem was, she didn't know how to find the North Star right away. She needed to first locate the Big Dipper, which was easy to spot. It was one of the most recognizable constellations in the Northern Hemisphere. She scanned the sky and soon spotted the Big Dipper, shining brightly in the night sky. "Okay, Sarah, focus," she said to herself. She remembered that the two stars at the end of the Big Dipper's bowl point towards the North Star. With her finger, she traced the line between these stars and followed it until she saw a small but steady light, the North Star. Her heart began to race with excitement. She had found it. Now she had a sense of direction. She knew which way was north. Sarah stood up and took a deep breath, feeling a wave of relief wash over her. She had not only found her way in the desert, but she had also found her courage. The journey back. With the North Star to guide her, Sarah started walking in the direction she believed would lead her back to her Jeep. She moved steadily, keeping her eyes on the stars above. The desert was still silent, but now it felt less like an enemy and more like a place she could understand. As she walked, Sarah kept an eye on the horizon. The stars weren't the only things that helped her. She also used the shape of the dunes to keep track of her movement. The dunes shifted with the wind, but there were patterns she could follow. She had read that the wind in the desert often blows in the same direction, so if she paid attention, she could find her way. Hours passed, and Sarah walked tirelessly, her feet sinking into the soft sand with each step. She felt the exhaustion building, but she didn't stop. Her determination kept her going. The stars above her sparkled like diamonds, guiding her forward. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Sarah saw a familiar shape in the distance. Her Jeep. She had made it back. The lesson learned. When Sarah finally reached her Jeep, she felt a wave of relief and pride. She had been lost in one of the most unforgiving places on earth, but she had found her way back using nothing but the stars and her own determination. It wasn't easy, but she had learned a valuable lesson. No matter how lost you might feel, there is always a way back if you trust yourself and look for the signs. As she sat in her Jeep, watching the stars twinkle above her, Sarah realized that the desert had taught her something important about herself. She was capable of more than she had ever imagined. And next time she got lost, whether in the desert or in life, she would know how to find her way again. Did you enjoy this adventurous story? If you want more stories like this, subscribe and leave a comment below. Have you ever found yourself in a difficult situation where you had to rely on your skills to get out? Share your experience with us. Don't forget, we upload new stories every day to help you learn English in a fun way.